Hi, today I want to show you some similarities between my game Professor Bubbles and some gold standard platformers, so let's get straight into it. One thing I really like in all Super Mario games is the feeling of sympathy. Now, I'm not sure why this is exactly so, but I guess the cute character design mixed with some round background shapes have something to do with it. So I've decided to follow these design ideas while pixeling game art in Professor Bubbles, and that's why the levels I have crafted probably look quite familiar. Talking about graphics, the pixel art style present in Super Mario World has definitely been a big source of inspiration for me. To be specific, my favorite level styles from the game are those where the background and foreground colors are somewhat close to each other. A good example of such design can be seen here in the Donut Plains 1 and here in the Morton's Castle. That said, it is also not much of a surprise to see the first over and underworld level themes of Professor Bubbles. Hollow Knight gets often mentioned in devlogs which revolve around Metroidvania games. However, since Professor Bubbles is not exactly a Metroidvania, you might wonder what is the connection here. The thing that triggered me when I first got my hands to Hollow Knight was the amount of passive gameplay the developers have put into the game. You see, it is somehow pleasing to cut the grass and demolish random gameplay objects while progressing a lengthy passage from A to B. I think such small details add a lot to the juiciness of a game. For the moment, I have implemented these tiny little pixel birds which simply peck the floor, fly away as the player approaches them and return when the player is absent. I think it was a job of a few hours to make the bird, and as they make such a pleasant difference to the gameplay feeling, I'm really happy on the time investment I made there. To talk about future plans on this kind of passive gameplay, one very nice option could be connected to soapy bubbles. For the one, I could add some harmless stirred sprites in levels, which could reveal some bonus items after being cleaned by the player. At last, if I should name a single game as a point of reference for Professor Bubbles, then it would be the Commander Keen series. For those who meet Commander Keen here for the first time, the game series was a big hit of id Software back in the early 90s. As a matter of fact, with Keen, id Software managed to produce the first smooth scrolling platformer for PC, which quite likely increased the value of PCs as gaming devices. Now, there are at least two things which draw similarities between Commander Keen and Professor Bubbles. The first connection is the player movement and jump mechanics, which in both games is quite a bit slower than, for example, in Super Mario. This means that action-packed speedruns are out of scope, and instead the gameplay leans towards exploration. What is more, I think the slower tempo also gives the player more time to appreciate the graphical details of the game. The second connection is the size and the structure of the levels, which in both games contain cave-like underground action as well as some overworld roaming. One thing I'd like to bring into Professor Bubbles are levels inside of buildings, but this might mean quite a bit of detailed pixel art to be crafted, so we will see. I think without Super Mario World, Hollow Knight or Commander Keen, the Professor Bubbles would most certainly not be the game it has become. And by the way, if you know some other games which seem similar to Professor Bubbles, don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. Otherwise, also don't forget to gently touch that subscribe button to maximize the lifetime of your input device and to receive follow-up devlogs as soon as they get uploaded. Okay, thank you for watching and see you around.